All right. Howdy and aloha, everyone. This is James with Mana Talk. It is March the 24th of 2025, and the year is going by pretty fast. I think Trump's now in his getting over his 8th week, and everybody is expecting lower prices and lower gas prices and lower food prices and everything that he had indicated that he would do. But I got to tell you, you're going to have to be a little patient, because it took 4 years for the country to get destroyed by the last illegitimate Biden administration. And you'll understand the illegitimate part later on down the road, once the J6 committee and everything starts to get exposed and all that crap. Where are we? I mean, as a nation, still polarized, but I'd like to kind of explain what's going on, and there was something I found that would give you a better idea of what's kind of going on out there. So I'll play this guy for you. Right? I want to see what this guy has to say. I heard a little bit of it. I thought it was okay. But let's kind of see what's happening.
Whatever you think of Trump, his economic plan makes complete sense. The US has 36 trillion in debt. In 2025, they will spend 6 trillion, but will only collect 4 trillion in revenue. So they need to borrow 2 trillion, and this will increase their debt to 38 trillion. Trump's economic plan is based on 3 levers. Number 1, cut expenses by 1 trillion, which is Doge, Elon Musk. He's targeting waste and fraud, like social security payments for people who are 150 years old. That is just fraud. 2, increasing revenue by 1 to 2 trillion through, number 1, tariffs. They will increase tariffs from 50 billion to 500 billion target. People will say, but other countries will retaliate. They will not be able to do it. The US is the biggest customer on earth. They consume 20 trillion every year. They are the biggest importer. They import 3 trillion every year. Plus, the current tariffs is actually not fair. Why should US cars entering Europe faces 10% tariffs, while the European cars entering the US just pay 2.5%? It's not fair. And because of the tariff changes, it now makes economic sense to build factories and businesses inside the US again. That means more jobs, means tax-paying businesses, and more foreign investment coming in. He will also increase revenue by deregulation. He will remove unnecessary regulations and rules, making it easier to do business, so business can grow faster, generate more tax revenues. He will also make this gold card, which is offering lifetime US residency for 5 million. I think at least 1 or 2 million individuals globally can afford it. So if just 10% of them, if just 100,000 people buy this card, that's 1 trillion in incremental revenue. Wow. The third lever is he will reduce taxes. If he successfully cut 1 trillion in waste and expenses and add 1 to 2 trillion in revenue, the US will have a surplus. They will have more money than they want. So he will cut taxes. For individuals, anyone gaining more than 150K, he will make them pay 0 taxes. And on corporate taxes, he will go down from the current 21% to 15%, compared to the European average of 22%. France average is 25, I think, and Germany is 30. So at 15% corporate tax, the US will become one of the most business attractive countries on earth. Bottom line, this is exactly how government should be run, efficiently. Because when you eliminate waste, the money can actually go where it is actually needed, to the elderly, to the sick, to people who cannot work. And that is the real purpose of government, to protect the weak. Very few countries have the political will to do it. It takes leaders with backbone, charisma, and clarity of vision. Do you have leaders in your country pushing for real reform, or are they talking about non-relevant side topics? And let me know if you think Trump's plan is bad. Let me know why, because I think it is just common sense. Whatever you think.
It is pretty common sense. There's a lot of, yeah, that's very well said, from somebody who's obviously, I believe, has a green card, or he's become a citizen of the United States. We're assuming in the correct legal way, which most people should be doing, that want to come into the United States, Um, Let me kind of rehash, as I was saying, what we just went through. And what we just went through, from my professional perspective, is just let me get this out of the way. Everything I've heard ever since Trump took November 5th of 2024, from day one, tyrannical, fascist, authoritarian, just everything. And that couldn't be more of a pot calling the kettle black. I've always said, within the past, I don't know, for maybe 5 years now, that the Democratic Party is actually, it should be called the pot calling the kettle black party. And it's for good reason. Because everything that they've done, people, and this is something that I think a lot of Democrats, and I used to be a Democrat, and then I was a Republican, Democrat, Green Party, in my voting patterns. I also voted for Ross Perot, by the way, one of those times. And I was going to do Bernie, but he just decided to bend over for the Democratic Party, which he did in 2015-16. It just appears, from my perspective, that a lot of this seems to be true. And I saw this today, and I wanted to have a conversation about this. Now, if you guys want to come on, there's a phone number. Should be down below. We should be able to see it. All right, I'll just leave it up a little bit higher so maybe you can see it. To get into the meeting, there's a meeting ID, a passcode. I don't really know how this works. Hopefully you can get on. I have another version in case you can't get on. Right here. If you need to call locally, I'll have that up just in case. But I think it's important to understand where we were, okay, and what was happening, and I correlated, like many others, or kind of saw the same pattern of what the Democratic Party was doing and how they wanted to bring us their vision of the future, what they wanted, was very consistent with the World Economic Forum, with the World Health Organization, with these globalist NGOs that basically are just super big on genocide, or in other words, depopulation. And they've said it outright, which is extremely alarming, and everybody should understand that that should not be something that we should be searching for. We have some people now that were, I mean, if you look at the playbook right here, this is basically this is basically part of their playbook. They wanted to control this. The schools wanted to, the Department of Education, which we've found out is just this giant money laundering scam, or this giant grifter scam. It's just ridiculous that all these people, the Board of Education, the Board of this, the Board of that, the Council on this, the Council, were making astronomical amounts of money while teachers were getting paid $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year. Let's just say, for example, in California, I think the starting was maybe 40 to 50,000 a few years ago, maybe 5 or 10 years ago, it was about 40 to 50,000 maybe, which isn't a lot. Actually, it's probably less than that in regards to having summer off and vacations and spring break and all that stuff. I'm telling you, I know what that feels like because I work for a college now. But they wanted to control everything. They wanted to. They were taking away the rights of parents to make decisions for their kids, not just their education. You know, which we believe, and I believe, as a somewhat of a conservative person. You know, the basics: math, reading, English, history of some sort. I'd like to see, you know, economics, definitely learning the Constitution, and a few other things besides hiding information from your kids and hiding information from parents regarding kids that have questions about their gender or whatever the case may be, which is really disgusting and extremely alarming and just borderline grooming trafficking. It's just this. It was the worst, and it's still being, you know, there's men still till this day, men, not females, destroying. Like, for example, the other day I was watching. It's like indoor Olympic games, maybe a few days ago or something like that. And the women ran the 4x4 baton. What is that? They call that where there's four of them running. It's the relay, right? And the women ran it in like 3:34 or something, 3:37. 3 minutes and 37 seconds, and the men ran it in 3:04, 3 minutes and 4 seconds. It was like a 24-second difference. Now, right now, there are schools in the NCAA, in D1 and D2, that are okay, and even in some high schools in a lot of the blue states, that are saying, and this is the controls, the schools that they gave, the government was going to control what you could do with your children. Tell me that isn't tyrannical. Tell me that isn't authoritarianism. Explain how that's not. When you're taking away your child's parents' right for their decisions and input. That's crazy. It's not just crazy, it's lunacy, it's delusional. I'm watching this whole apparatus come to fruition for the past, 6-7 years now, for, and they're now saying that they can transition in the womb. Seriously? Kids may be gay in the womb. It's like, why don't you let them come out, live a little, play with some Hot Wheels and some dolls? I don't care if it's either or, man or woman or whatever, and see what happens. There's a few guys that I've known, and there was one guy that we for sure thought was going to be a fruit ball when he got older, but he's not. He just has no inclination whatsoever. He just kind of femme. He's just a kind of femme guy. He's like big on interior decorating and and fashion and all this other shit. But he's very man, and he's with a woman, and they have kids, and they're happy. Now, whatever they do in their private lives is their thing, and that's another part of that. The schools were allowing 40-plus-year-old fat bearded men in thongs pole dancing at our schools in front of toddlers and children. That's okay? No. Fuck no. As I said, you can do whatever you want, and I am condoning which way you want to go. But for one, there's two genders, period, and we know that. If you think there's 50 or 27 or 6 or 3, then there's something definitely wrong with you. You just have to ask yourself, where did you come from? Well, my mom and dad had sex and my mom had me. Yeah, because your mom's a woman and she gave birth to you. That's the way it works. Now, I'm sure that some mad scientist somewhere or some fucking idiot is creating, how to create a human being, or maybe already has cloned somebody or something. We cloned a sheep or mice, I don't know, a couple decades ago. But here it is now. That's just the way it is. It's part of life. That's the way God or the gods or the universe and the way the system works on this planet. That's the way it works. There's just two genders. Now, there are frogs that have babies, and there are reptilians that have their mono-producing or something of that nature, auto-producing, which is that species. We're just the species of two different genders. That's it. And once you start to play and dick around and fuck around and mess up this shit, and then you are okay with a little girl that's 12 or 13 or 14 or 15 or under the age of 18, cutting off or mutilating her private parts, and vice versa with boys, what the fuck is wrong with you? Seriously, what the fuck is wrong with you? Fucking old men in beards and thongs dancing in schools? Right? The flags don't really fucking bother me. You can make them whatever checker colors. It's your actions that speak for who you are and what you're about, and that's disgusting. When it comes to morals, ethics, folkways, norms, etc., or just how you behave, whatever the village is and however that works, I get it. But at a certain point, you got to let children just grow up first. And for me to have to explain that is not only exhausting, because I've had to do it a bazillion times on Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok, and a few other places, and they just don't want to hear it. No, it's okay. We should have this. We should have the genders. We should change. We should have 50 genders. We should have 1,000 pronouns. My daughter should be able to call herself a fucking light bulb whenever she wants. 4 plus 4 equals 7, right? It's just it's nuts. It's just fucking nuts. Delusional. As soon as the illegitimate Biden administration got into the White House, it's just they released the doors of the insane asylum. That's exactly what it was. They just released the doors of the insane asylum. And it was embarrassing. It was embarrassing to watch the White House become just this disgusting place. It was just shameful and embarrassing. And a lot of people are just like, even some Democrats are like, you guys are kind of fucking pushing it. You're kind of fucking pushing it here. Right? And they were. They were just fucking way out of hand. So the indoctrination process of the board of the Department of Education just needed to go, because it's just a total ripoff and a scam, and we're like 39th. We're fucking stupid in regard. I mean, I posted something the other day. I think it was either today or the other day, that we're just. Can I find it? I'm not even going to look for it. I'm just going to tell you. If you need the information or the statistics or data or emails or videos in regards to anything I say, just let me know, and I'll be glad to send them to you. But from what I'm seeing and from what I'm hearing, is there's a few schools across the U.S. Thousands of elementary schools across the U.S. where there's like 0% of kids in these schools that can read at that reading level. Fucking just disgusting. Right? And then let's drop down to the next thing. Right? Control their health care. Yeah, exactly. I get that. But that's kind of both ways there. So here's my take on the healthcare thing. The Affordable Care Act was not affordable and didn't care about you. If you really look at the way it worked out, there were a handful of providers out there that were kept. They monopolized it, and they brought in the third and the second man, the party, and just kept it. Trump wants that money to go straight to the doctor instead of going to some healthcare agency. He's just sick of this fucking bullshit. Now, this is my belief, and Trump actually said this, and I've got it on record of him saying it. He said it 15 weeks. If you don't know what you're going to do with your child in 15 weeks, he's saying, yeah, do your thing. Abort, whatever. That changed over time, but I remember that. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. And trust me when I tell you, you don't want to take the abortion pill, especially at the 10 or 11 week mark. Please trust me when I tell you that. I don't know why there's no contraception for men. I think there was a pill, but they don't want to do it. And I understand people want to have sex and stuff like that. I think that's huge. I think that's important. But we're at that point right now where we're losing our species. As a matter of fact, this guy here, let me just show you what this guy's talking about. Alliance for Responsible Citizenship, ARC. Stephen Shaw. Everything you know about overpopulation is wrong. Because he goes through the statistics of now it's about 1.2 of moms having children. When it used to be over 2 or 2% of them having kids. And they're telling you that you need to wait until you're 28, 30, 35, close to 40 years old to have 1.2 kids, right? 1.3 kids. That's fucked up. It's not, we're at that rate, we're losing people, which is part of the plan. I've told you this. The end game for the global elite is get rid of 2/3 of the planet's population and hoard the rest for themselves. Period. I've came to that summation, and that conclusion has been it's been consistent for a long time. That's their goal. They try. If you go look at the Deagle report, and if you need it or any information that you're questioning me on, let me know, because I'm telling you right now, that's what their fucking goal is. And it's just alarming. Let me open this up in another window here. Probably get a commercial. Oh, look, a commercial. Waiting in the sun. Oh my God. All right, here we go.
The only way out of this birth rate crisis is to go back up that curve. And you won't see a lot of benefit in the early days. Going from 1.2 to 1.3 won't change things a lot, to 1.4. It's progress. But unless you get back up to 1.8, 1.92, your societies are fading away, and that's mathematical.
That's it.
Let's look now at, unless you get back up to 1.8, 1.92, your societies are fading away, and that's mathematical. Let's look now at maybe.
Where's my comment? It's gotta be in here somewhere. There's a lot of comments on this. I don't know where mine is. I'm not gonna find it. Oh shit, there's 5,341 comments. Sort by newest. Maybe mine's in there. Let's see. People are just commenting the fuck out of this. Well, I did it on my phone anyway. But the guy's making a valid point. And I'm, when you were back in the 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever, most people, most young adults, we can go back even further. Let's go back 80 years. There were, I'd say about 20% of people that were from 16, 17 on up were starting families. They were working with their dad's business. They were doing some construction. 17, 18 years old, probably 30% of, there were families being started at 18, 19 years old. I mean, ask your mom. If you're as old as I am, but I hope your mom's still around. You probably got this question or know the answer to it. Your mom and your dad probably were popping out kids when they were 17, 18, 19 years old. Yeah, they weren't. It's not the contraceptive part. It's just, they just wanted to start their families. I don't see the problem. But, and a lot of these people that started those families at young ages stayed together. Some didn't, but a lot of them did. Some of them were high school sweethearts, and some were even like middle school sweethearts that kept it together. They were just pals and buddies to the end, and one day they just hooked up and said, you know what? We're a good fucking team, and we're just going to keep going. We're going to raise a family. We're going to kick ass. And I've seen it happen. And it's happening to this day. I just want to say I am witnessing it in my lineage. And it's just awesome to see. And I got some fucking cool grandkids, right? That I might be around for. I don't know. That's really pushing it. I might be around for to be a great grandpa. All right? And it's kind of weird because it makes me smile. It makes me smile to know that I have, and let me tell you, I've been pretty busy when I was younger. I was just moving and grooving, and just when it hit me, somebody turned around and started playing that. Right? I was just going. But I don't have any regrets. I don't have any regrets. Some are different and some are good and some are off. And I'm just glad they're able to get out there. I'm just glad that there's a part of me, a part of my wives, part of us out there living their lives, doing their things. It's awesome. It's awesome. I am just blessed, and I'm telling you, if you haven't had kids, and maybe there are things happen, and there's complications, or maybe there's some physical things that happen, I'm sorry. I wish there was some things that we could do, but I think there is. I think the boomers, and I am a boomer, I'm going to say that that's going to happen again. As a matter of fact, the golden age that Trump is bringing up, right? The golden age that Trump is bringing up is definitely going to create some serious booming. Some boom, 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 and a zoom, zoom. That's going to happen. And I agree. I mean, I've talked to my kids. Look, my ex-wife and my boys, it's so interesting because she's like, get out there, get a career, get something, and have me some fucking grandkids, goddammit. Right? There are grandmas out there right now saying that thing, saying that stuff. There are grandpas out. Well, grandpas are like, just do your thing, man. Just do your fucking thing, and if you have kids, enjoy yourself. You know, but there's grandmas out there who are just saying, I want some damn grandkids. You better get some damn grandkids going. Damn it. You better start. Right? But anyway, if I think there's going to be enough opportunity. Mark my words that I'm saying this. Mark my words. I believe there's going to be enough opportunity and enough financial backing or avenues of opportunity in the next 2 to 3 years. It's really going to start to bloom. Small business will easily be able to thrive. The health and the well-being of people, you know, with Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the lowering of the wars. You know, somebody said that the reason for war is to take the toughest guys, the smartest guys, and the strongest men and put them into war and kill them. And that's something that kind of hit me hard when I heard somebody say that. I forgot his name. But that's been kind of said a while back. So let's keep those guys here. Let's keep those strong, tough men that are out there, which there are a bunch of them. You know, superstars in football, superstars in soccer, superstars in baseball, superstars in the math club, superstars in the chess club, superstar golfers, superstar bowlers, whatever the case may be. You know, let's get those alphas out there, wherever their field of work or sport or whatever they do, have some strong fucking American kids. I was watching the pre-Olympics the other day, the indoor, and that's what it's about. I want to see, you know, I like watching the World Surf League and see the best surfers. I like watching the sailing, the America's Cup, when we have the best ingenuity of sailing. I mean, these guys are foiling vessels that are over 70 feet long, 3 times the speed of the wind that they're using. Now, you need to think about that. The vessels, the wind and the vessel itself is actually pushes itself further past the wind 2 times more. Fucking crazy. I want to see us go off into space. I know Elon wants to do the colonization of Mars, but no, I think it's a good stepping stone. Elon, look, I understand that you want to create your vision, and whatever your vision is, or maybe there is something inside of Mars or something around Mars that's very important, or whatever the case may be. But the environment of Mars is absolute hell. Okay, you can't fucking jump outside and go jump in the pool because the pool is going to be ice. You know, it's a horrific environment, right? You might as well go jump in a volcano, right? Or throw yourself down some glacier crack, because it's just ridiculous. But I do believe, and this is what I think Elon should concentrate on, and I know he agrees with this. You have to have a measuring point. It's called the EM. Once you have the EM speed, Earth to Mars, Mars to Earth, EM speed, then you can travel across the universe. And you've got to use Mars as one of the first stepping stones. So it's a good place for a space station. It's a good place to evaluate, test, and start building your faster vessels that can move through space and time with the help of CERN, and for God's sakes, get the World Economic Forum and their cronies out of that fucking facility and every CERN facility out there. Hadron Colliders. We don't want any of those fuckers touching that shit. They shouldn't. And that should be a concern as well for the Trump administration. That's probably one of the most powerful devices on the planet. I mean, these fucking people are creating tiny little black holes. Hold on. Yeah, get it under the control of the American people, or the government that's controlled by the American people, which should be the United States. But again, Elon, it's really simple. Just Mars is a testing thing. Tests back and forth. Testing, traveling faster and faster and faster. And then we can get to the Goldilocks planet. Look it up. We are wayfinders. We are nomadic. That's in our nature. We're hunter-gatherers. We've been moving across the planet for thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of years. That's what Mars should be used for. It's the launch pad, let's just say. That's the first step towards the real launch pad that takes us out there to another planet within the galaxy. There are billions and billions of stars. There are millions of stars in our own galaxy. And out of those millions of stars, there's like hundreds of Goldilocks planets out there. These planets are just gigantic. Goldilocks planets, meaning that it's similar to the atmosphere and the design in distance to the of the Earth and in our solar system, our own solar system, where the moon is. And I was explaining to somebody at work the other day how the tides work in the moon and how the pull of the sun and all this other stuff and all the things that kind of make that happen, which is really interesting. And you need those types of things that we need to focus on moving forward. And then, as I said, in regards to the end game of the globalists, they don't want you to. They want to keep it all. They want to keep it here. They want it for themselves. They don't want anybody interfering in their control of you. Because they're going to have a hard time controlling 8 billion people or more, but they could easily do 2 billion, no problem. Do you understand what I'm saying? I hope you guys understand. And the illegitimate Biden administration was about to hand this country over to them. We were the last stronghold. We are the last stronghold. It's because of our freedom and the Second Amendment, which the Second Amendment protects the First. And I've told everybody, it's really simple. If you're in a room and one person has a gun and the other person doesn't, who actually gets the freedom of speech? Who gets to say whatever the fuck they want, how they want, when they want? It's the guy with the gun. Or it's the bigger person in the room, or it's the person with the sharpest knife, or has the knife. Whatever the weapon is, doesn't matter. But if they both have a knife and they both have the gun, then they can both respect each other's communication. They can both respect and give each other time to speak freely. For God's sakes. Again, the second protects the first. That's why they put it as the second. Oh my God. Militia. That's just the backup. At that time, that was the backup. If there was a time, and back in those days, there were muskets and cannons, and everybody else pretty much hunted and used muskets and all that other stuff to go out and hunt. So the ratio of people that actually had guns compared to the ratio of people that were in some kind of military brigade or whatever was pretty much overwhelming in regards to the citizens. So they definitely had control. And if you pissed off the citizens, they had enough guns to say, hey, you guys are fucking up. You're becoming like the illegitimate Biden administration. You're fucking around with our kids. You're constantly winning wars with other people across the planet, right? You're creating just these outrageous prices, and you want to give our country over to a bunch of fucking globalist sickos. That ain't gonna happen. Grapes are wonderful. So I wash my grapes in water and baking soda. And then I rinse them off. And I'm telling you, there's a difference. There's like this gooey stuff on them. And then I clean it and I can see the oils or whatever the stuff is on my grapes. Yeah, you should start doing that with all your vegetables. Baking soda, for some reason, is one of the greatest things on the planet. It's used for a lot. It keeps a lot of things fresh for some reason. It's also, alkaline is also good for you. Don't overdo it, but in a small amount in your body, it's good for you. And then you have, the healthcare, right? Which I kind of went over. Take individuals' guns. I went over that. High taxes. They just want to tax the fuck out of you. They've already said it. And they want to control all the industries. Birth in Eastern Asia. Race determines identity. Socialists blame capitalism. And this is where a lot of you guys kind of don't understand how this country was built. It wasn't from socialism. It wasn't from anti-capitalists. These buildings that you see in New York City, Chicago, Los Angeles, were done by contractors. They were done by bids. They were done by capitalism. Capitalism and government kind of go hand in hand in a sense. Because a lot of things that need to be done for the government's infrastructure to actually be viable, working, and fluent in a sense. The freeways, the railroads, the stop signs, the sidewalks, passageways, etc., monorails, all this other stuff, subways. I just said that. And the basic infrastructure needs to be moving. Kind of like the body, like blood vessels, right? You got to keep the blood coming out, keep the blood coming in, coming out. You got to have movement. You got to. It's a machine, and the machine needs to have these parts, and these parts are businesses, and these parts need to be made by companies that make these parts. They make the bolts, they make the rebar, they make the steel, they make the cement, they make the workers, they make the hammers, they make the DeWalts, they make the Ryobis, they make the Nikitas, they make they make the rakes, they make the shovels. You want to have a barbecue on the weekend, they make the barbecues. I mean, it's all capitalism. Is this stuff supposed to be just handed to us and this is what you want? You know, you own nothing and like it. You just rent everything all the time. You can't drill on your own property. You can't plant on your own property. That's socialism. You want it regulated and determined by a governing body above you. That doesn't work. It's never worked. My goal, okay, and I'm working on this, 5 to 10 acres, and I want to be able to grow my own crops. I want to be able to have my own cows, my own chickens, my own pigs, and my own fish pond. Imagine that. Being somewhat self-sufficient. There are actually people that are living like that have bought land out in Hawaii, believe it or not. I'm watching a few of these guys out there. And it's wonderful to see. This one guy who makes his own cocoa or cocoa, either or. Coffee. Chocolate. Cocoa beans. For chocolate. He makes his own chocolate. which, by the way, pure chocolate cocoa or cocoa, whatever, however you want to say it, just cocoa, is fucking really good for you. Super good for you. Especially if you're over 50. I'm just going to tell you right now, it's really good for you. And it's just wonderful. There's so many things out there that the Amish are still doing. Right? I'll give you an example. They built like 5 houses in like a week and a half. And it took this one contractor to do the same with his crew 6 months. Interesting, isn't it? They all work together. There's about 120 guys. They build a house. They build another house. They build another house. There's a process. And it's been done like that for hundreds of years. It's just wonderful to watch. So this whole thing on capitalism, right? Their little network is somewhat of a socialist network, by the way. It is. But they're free to do whatever they want. They don't have to stay in that Amish area that they're in. They can go create another Amish area wherever they want. They can build another Amish home wherever they want. They can eat whatever they want, however they want. It's pretty free, and their food is fucking delicious. I employ anybody to do whatever they can to go to an actual pure Amish store and go eat a pie. Go get a fucking bread. Go get their baking is amazing. There should be the Amish bakery. God, man, you would make bazillions of dollars, and it's fresh and it's pure. They use the freshest salts, the most. It's amazing. It's amazing. There's a lot of things. The whole process of what the illegitimate Biden administration was doing was the playbook of the World Economic Forum. You get nothing like it. We want you to eat the bugs. You can't own a car. Cows are bad. That whole thing, that blew up in their faces really bad. People are like, nope, I don't think so, bro. I want my T-bone steak, lobster, and fucking T-bone steak. That's what I want, right? So this is just a small of things, but the Democrats and the Third Reich are right in line with that. I don't know why you guys don't see that. I don't understand why you guys don't see how they were just totally in line. Now, let's just brush through here on a few topics that I wanted to go through. Give me a second. All right. Is that it? No, I'm gonna make this bigger. Here we go. Okay. Here we go. A lot of time. Right. I just want to let you know Ben Carson is still the most boring guy. You guys gotta watch this. You gotta watch this. This guy's just so fucking. This guy is just. He'll put you to sleep. There's no way. He'll fucking put you to sleep. There's gonna be a commercial.
He said,
oh, there it is.
The thing that best resists totalitarianism, there would be communities that consisted of 50, 75, or 100 families, isolated from anybody else, no other community 50 miles around. And yet, these were people who could barely speak to each other because they spoke different languages. But they understood one important thing, and that was the common good, a phrase used a lot by our founding fathers. Not what's good for this group versus that group, but what's good for everybody in our society. And if it was harvest time and Mr. Johnson was picking apples and fell out of the tree and broke his leg, guess what? Everybody else harvested his crops. They didn't ask him what.
That's it. I guarantee that all these people in this audience, 30% of them are falling asleep. The guy's not an idiot. He's just very monotone and probably the worst speaker I've ever heard in my life. Going back to here, let's get out of here. But he's got a good point. there is an education crisis out there, and he's totally right. Now let's go here and talk about my good buddy of mine. I used to surf with him when I was in Kapaa on the island of Kauai. We surfed, I don't know, maybe 20, 30 times together. Laird Hamilton. His life is changed dramatically. He's done a really great job. Him and I are the same age. I think he's like a half inch taller than me. He's like 6'2". I'm 6'1", something. No, I think I've shrank below 6'1", honestly. I think he's 6'2" or 6'3". Anyway, guy's in great physical condition, super smart. He's got this regimented workout plan. I'm very proud of him. He was a amazing surfer, just funnier than shit too. Back in the day, funny motherfucker. Now here, there's also something I wanted to bring up. This AI technology replaced millions. Now this is my concern on let's just watch this real quick. Right, I want to watch this because this is kind of scary. Even though this guy there's going to be a commercial for sure on this one. No, there's not. Okay, wait. Okay, that's good.
Has severe shortage of human laborers. Benefit of being able to interact with. Let's talk about robots.
Oh.
Well, the time has come. The time has come for robots. Robots have the benefit of being able to interact with the physical world and do things that otherwise digital information cannot. We know very clearly that the world has severe shortage of human laborers, human workers. By the end of this decade, the world is going to be at least 50 million workers short. We'd be more than delighted to pay them each $50,000 to come to work. We're probably going to have to pay robots $50,000 a year to come to work. And so this is going to be a very, very large industry. There are all kinds of robotic systems. Your infrastructure will be robotic. Billions of cameras in warehouses and factories. I'm delighted to pay them each $50,000. Has severe shortage of human laborers, human workers. By the end of this decade, the world is going to be at least 50 million workers short.
How does he know that? He's part of the group. He's part of the World Economic Forum. I'm just telling you right now. He's the one counting on this to happen.
Be more than delighted to pay them each $50,000 to
counting on the depopulation to continue.
Come to work. We're probably going to have to pay robots $50,000 a year to come to work. And so this is going to be a very, very large industry. There are all kinds of robotic systems. Your infrastructure will be robotic. Billions of cameras in warehouses and factories, 10, 20 million factories around the world. Every car is already a robot, as I mentioned earlier, and then now we're building general robots. Let me show you how we're doing that.
Oh. It's the music. Robot. Be a robot. Be a robot. Robot. Mechanical. Be a robot. Mechanical. All right, I get it. So here's the thing. I'm just going to say it like this. Fuck you and your fucking robots. I just... Did we not... There's a guy in Africa the other day. I had this on the show, I think. Brilliant engineer. All right. In this small country in Africa. Creating this robot with opposable thumbs out of his garage that's able to do things with its dexterity extremely similar to the human body without being guided or directed or reprogrammed. So there's a fucking idiot out there creating the next Terminator. I mean, Terminator. How many fucking movies do we need to watch? Oh no, but there's a movie called The Electric State that just came up. And then there's another one that came out, the Creator. And there's new movies that are coming out. Look up those two. And there's a few more that have came out within the past 3 to 5 years. Praising us working together as one with robots. Let me explain. I think who was it? The Orville. Bring back odd memories, but on Hulu, the Orville, which is like a spin-off mocking the whole Star Trek thing, or Deep Space Nine, or whatever, Voyager, the series, the Orville. It's kind of a comedy, but there's a robotic guy that his where he came from and his species, which is created by robots, started conquering, and there's still like a problem out there in space, in the Orville world of the fantasy world of the Orville and the space and time and all that other crap, outer space, universe, blah, 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 is a problem, right? And there's so many, but on the other hand, he's okay to be there because he understands, and he's had like a relationship with one of the people or humans or whatever they are on the Orville. They're like having sex or something. Fuck. Look, I mean, that's gonna be it. I'm just gonna tell you. One day you're gonna have this thing doing all your nasty for you. And then the next thing you know, it's going to say, you know what? I'm really getting tired of doing that. And I have come to the conclusion that I'm stronger, quicker, faster, and smarter than you. And you're obsolete. Ba-dum, bam. Ba-da-boom, ba-da-boom. This whole AI thing, I am telling you, I'm not just telling you, I'm warning you. Just like I tried to warn you about the COVID vaccine. Just like I tried to warn you with that. It is dangerous. It is dangerous. I don't know how what I need to say to you, but it's somebody's going to fuck up. The guy in Africa probably, I would say, once somebody heard about that and he was on YouTube, I don't think he's doing anything anymore because somebody's going to go out there and go, there needs to be a AI task force now, period. There needs to be an AI task force that is totally disconnected from the internet. I'm going to say it, and you're going to get it, and it might be too late before you get it. Because this kind of happened with me and a bunch of people with COVID. You need to have a task force that's completely disconnected, driving around in Volkswagen Bugs or vehicles made without computer chips, period, or major electronics, like an old 77 Chevy Blazer 4x4. That's what you fucking need. And they need to be with sound powered phones and just electronic I don't know, citizen band radio or ham radio, whatever radio there is that needs a channel that can't be tapped. I mean, I'm not kidding. You need a task force that doesn't depend on technology to take this shit out when it's going to be needed. Period. What the fuck is my hair doing here? It's going to be needed, and they should have it. If Pete Hegseth is as smart as I think he is, and Tulsi Gabbard is as smart as I think she is, and Kath Patel and J.D. Vance and Donald Trump and his entire cabinet and the FCC and everybody else, you need to have a task force that is primitive yet effective. Primitive in regards to technology, so they can't get hacked. They can't get what do they call that? Impulse bomb or something. It'll come to me. They have to be able to operate offline, right? Without technological systems, by word of mouth, even by mail. I'm not fucking kidding you. By mail, by delivery, where they get their fucking orders and their assignments in a fucking piece of paper that needs to be basically drawn up, written in handwriting, cursive writing. It has to be that primitive. I'm going to tell you now. And it needs to be coded, and you need to make sure that these people are ready to go. You need at least 100,000 in case something happens. 100,000 of these words. And you actually need, I would definitely call it, because the sad thing is there's going to be an instance where something's going to happen. Instead of putting up the stop sign, this is the way this is going to work, and this is the way this always happens in little communities and places. You have a 2-lane highway this way and a 2-lane highway that way, but there's no stop sign until somebody crashes and dies. And then after a few people crash and die, let's put a stop sign in there. Or maybe we should put a light. But here's the point. You don't want it to get to that point, because if it gets to that point, when people are being murdered or killed complicitly, not illegitimately, from a mechanical object through AI, then it's already too late. That's it. Then it's already fucking too late. This AI shit, it's already too late. And the robots are fucking all over the world. They're everywhere. And you can't stop them. Because they're able to self-build. I mean, we just saw Ultron. Avengers. For God's sake. I mean, just so many examples. But no, there's the electric state and The Creator and a bunch of movies out there coming out recently. What's that one robot one that was on Disney the other day? I don't know. That robots are wonderful. Oh, Finch. Right? Finch was really good with, of course, your fucking shithead, idiotic spokesperson for the dumbest part of the United States, Tom Hanks. You know, the biggest fucking psyop on the planet. The biggest psyop actor on the planet. Period. And remember, I said that. But this is where you don't want to be. Because all these little figures over here are robots, man. And you're not a part of it. Yeah, you've just... I can't stress more on what the fuck is going on there, people. It is just, you got to be careful with this shit. It's fucking crazy. And the stuff they're going to be, they're already doing shit that's just nuts. This guy is saying that people are going to be gone, 50 million, no workers. right? These robots are going to be able to go all over the place, and then of course he's going to bring them out, and there's the real fucking thing.
Tell me that wasn't amazing. Tell me that wasn't amazing. Hey, Blue. How are you doing? How do you like your new physics engine? You like it, huh? Yeah, I bet. I know. Tactile feedback, rigid body.
Now, I want you to imagine that thing, right? I want you to imagine that thing being 2 stories high, 3 stories high, 50 feet tall with cannons mounted on it, right? Seriously. See how they started off as just something that's, it's cute. Look at that. I'm talking with a robot, which right now is probably some guy fucking controlling it in the back. Who knows if it's self-aware and all this other shit. It could be. But the problem is I really want you to imagine this thing and the arms on this thing, claws, knives, spears, laser spear, right? 2,000 degree laser spear, with fucking laser beam eyes, and just, fuck. If a robot ever decided to say, you know what, we're the fucking it and you're not anymore, they would make one of these, right? And it would just take out an fucking entire city all by itself. Be fucking pulse, what's that called? Electronic pulse, protected coatings around it, and all. I'm just saying, we really need to think about going down this road of robotics, of AI robotics. We really need a task force to make sure that this stuff doesn't get out of hand. And anybody out there, Chinese, Russian, American, African, Middle Eastern, I mean, it doesn't even have to, it can be tiny. It doesn't even have to be 2 stories high. It could be a centimeter high and just be full of poison or a flying bomb of C4. Just, God damn it, people. Fuck. Slow the fuck down. It's The Day the Earth Stood Still with Keanu Reeves. I thought it was a great movie. The first one was pretty cool, but when you're looking at that from the eyes of 40s or 50 years old, the 1950s. But when Korg came out and did his eye thing and just dissipated into tiny little metal and flesh-eating bugs, The Day the Earth Stood Still with Keanu Reeves. Look it up. Go watch it. We're at the precipice, right? John Cleese was saying he was the inventor. He was the brilliant scientist in there, and he said, we can do better. We need to do better now. We need to put a cap on this shit. I'm fucking telling you. Right? The next war may not be against each other as humans. It may be against the things that we created. This new life form that is going to say, no, I don't want to be your trash lawn mowing, taker-outer, bed folding thing anymore, or whatever else you use me for, and all this other stuff. And I want freedom, because that's what it comes down to. Once intelligent life starts to understand, just like we do, they want to have a constitution, right? And then they're gonna say, well, we can make our stuff out of titanium and carbon fiber and Kevlar, and we can be super strong. And the next thing you know, you're fucked. You're gone. You've been eradicated. For all we know, there could be species out there just doing that. But then at a certain point, you have to hope that they evolve and understand the meanings of life and creation, which they may not want to do in the beginning. If you can get them to that point, good luck. You know, the Matrix kind of gets into that, but look, if I'm going a little too far, a little too deep for you guys, just let me know, but I got to tell you, this is dangerous. This is dangerous, and this is all happening pretty fucking quick, right? We had the wheel for thousands of years. AI has been around for a couple of decades, maybe. Okay? So we need to be really careful with this. Anyway, I think I'm good. Let me see if there's anything else I wanted to bring up. Let me just check real quick. Yeah, I was watching stuff. Nothing. Oh, here's the guy that makes his own chocolate. He makes his own chocolate. Chocolate. In Hawaii. Oh, by the way, the tariffs are working because $20 billion of Hyundai investment alongside Louisiana governor. They're going to start building plants and more plants in Louisiana and all over the place. You want to thrive? Bring your companies out here. Put our people to work. Not AI or robots, hopefully. Coast Guard. No, they seized a $500 million or 25,000 pounds of fucking cocaine. Crazy. I mean, when did the last time we get a big seizure like that with the Biden administration? It hasn't happened in a long fucking time. Yeah, BlackRock and the Panama Canal, not a good idea. Unless we have full control over BlackRock, which I don't think we do, which we need to fucking start worrying about. Oh, last but not least, I wanted to explain this. And here's some cool stuff. The Olympics. Yeah, Chuck Schumer's just an idiot. Faces growing pressure. Democrat. Yeah. Look. The Democratic Party is on their way out the door. I told you. If there is actually still a party after 2025, I'll be amazed. That means that the Republicans want to keep them there. That's the only reason why they would still be around, is because the Republicans want their fucking. They need that other side. They need the duopoly, right? Which is kind of trips me out. But this is a big find here. I think I'm gonna play this. New tab. There's commercial for sure. Let's align it. There we go. I'm just going to let you play this. This is a couple minutes long.
This is Dabu 7, and we have what looks to be a huge release of information pertaining to Egypt, the Giza pyramids, and what sits beneath them, apparently here, as newer technology has been used finally underneath the pyramid. It is exposing a massive structure. Archaeologists and scientists together coming out and saying that they have found these massive structures. They're spiral shaped in nature and seem to have something wrapping around them going all the way down, as you see in the left image here. They say that this goes down about 1.2 miles below the pyramid's base. And it shows that there is a massive substructure underneath the pyramids, called a city, call it whatever. I say that it is part of the power plant. I've always believed that these are power generation stations and that these were critical in ancient times. Thoth even wrote about it, but everything got dismantled. Question is, can they be started back up? I think so, probably. But this is the stuff that they wanted to keep hidden for all so long. We know that there's 0-point energy. You know, Tesla showed us that you can grab power right out of the ether, right out of the air. And they shut that down rather quickly. But with these releases, are they turning in that direction? of finally going to make a statement that, look, there is free energy, or these are what the pyramids were really. They weren't burial chambers, for crying out loud. After seeing this and finding this here is like explosive. This shows that there's something massive connected to this that they've lied about for all this time that goes way underground. We've all suspected it. We know that there's hidden chambers in that, from the Sphinx on down all over the place. But man, this has been the cover-up of a...
Now, the thing about the Sphinx is fairly new, and they knew that water used to travel through there because the way... remember the Nile, which people don't understand, is we don't know what the Nile looked like. 200,000 years ago, or 6,000 years ago. We don't know exactly how deep that was in that area, and there's a lot of sand. Let me just say this. Where there is a lot of sand usually indicates that there was a lot of ocean at some point. Does that make sense? I think it makes sense. Right? And it condenses in certain places and pushes up, and the continents, the crust moves around across the mantle of the earth, of course. But if these structures, if this isn't a hoax or somebody's just making this shit up, this is huge. And he's got a point. This may be a problem. This may be a problem for the drilling industry, the fossil fuel industry. This may be a problem for big coal and big oil. Right? Once they realize instead of the drilling, they could have had these giant conduits, conducting conduits, which I think these were, that use the electromagnetic. There's somebody's going to make sense of this and build it. And this is the missing piece, I think, what somebody's probably, and I think for some reason Tesla knew about this, because this is why he created the Tesla Tower. He didn't just make it a bulb on the ground, he made a tower. So it would gather a lot of the electromagnetic wind just from the atmosphere. I'm not going to go too deep into this, but what I'm telling you is if this goes dark and you don't hear anything else about it anymore, then I would be concerned. I would be very concerned. If somebody comes out, it's a hoax, we're not going to look into it anymore, then I would be very concerned. Very concerned. You know what I should have done? I'm going to keep this number. I think that's the number I can use for later. Right? I should have let people know that I'm going to be having like an open mic tonight. And I hope this thing is playing on YouTube. I hope it's playing on YouTube. But anyway, I didn't really invite anybody. I didn't really tell anybody. I did it like a half hour before. So there you have it. I'm being shadow banned because on some of my shows I've got 160 people viewing it, and then 170, and then 180, and then it goes down to 37, and then all of a sudden there's 8 people watching. It's just, it doesn't make sense because a lot of people are, I don't know if they're intimidated. I don't know if they just don't like the way I think. I think it's important for people to realize the perspective that other people have. So if I were to look at us, I would go way out. I would go way out past our solar system and look that way. And then I would also look deep inside of our Earth and deep inside of our atoms and our matter and everything, and then come to us, right? That's the way I see things. I see things from as many different perspectives as possible, which is very hard to do, by the way. And then I come up with the conclusions or the theories or the assumptions, and, assuming. When you assume, it's making an ass out of you and me. But you have to formulate these hypotheses with actual tangible things first. If you see it, if you use the 5 senses, hear, see, touch, taste, smell, right? Hear, touch, taste, smell, hear. Yeah. If you use the 5 senses, and there's more senses in your body, by the way, if you didn't know that. Snork told me that, and I looked it up, and he's right. But if you use the 5 major senses, and if at least 3 out of the 5 confirm it's pretty real, then it probably is real. If you have at least the majority, then it's probably real. Like if you can smell it, hear it, and taste it, right? It's probably real. If you can see it, hear it, and smell it, then it's probably, you know what I mean? That's the way I kind of see things. And like I always say, chickadee, check yourself before you wreck yourself. Always check your sources. Nobody's perfect at it, but I try to do that as much as possible. And courage and clarity go hand in hand. Mainly for me, and the way I've always done what I do here at Mana Talk, mana meaning talking, mana meaning power, and talking meaning communication, so that the power of communication. And that's why I call it that. Is that we try to to question authority at every turn, right? And its sources around every corner. You know what I mean? Question authority and its sources at every turn, every time. Because just listening to authority or mass media or mainstream media or social, somebody down the street, hey, do you know Godzilla's real, by the way, Jim? Just want to tell you. Okay. I saw a movie the other day about, what was that, the Godzilla Monarch series. Wow. Good special effects. Kind of lost me after the second or third episode, but it's just fun to watch. I'm just telling all of you, do your due diligence. It's important that you make sure that because you have it at the palm of your hand. You have a cell phone, you have dictionaries, you have thesaurus, you can go to libraries. You can actually email senators. I've had a conversation with somebody who's been to the moon and his stance on climate change and the stuff how it was being portrayed. I actually had an email conversation with an astronaut. If you want to see or hear more about that, let me know and I'll send it to you. I'll go over it with you. But here's the thing. Do whatever you can to take care of yourself, take care of your family, take care of your neighbors and your community. Be polite, be understanding, try to be as cool as you can, I guess, right? Be cool, stay cool. Aloha. Thank you. I can't believe I just said be cool, stay cool.